couldn't believe it. It was a line of women and children. And behind them, Taliban fighters. Each of them had a woman or a child in one hand and a weapon in the other. And about 50 yards from our position, they opened fire.
What did you do?
We couldn't retreat. It was a fast-moving river, no more than 30, 40 yards behind us. We didn't have time to try to outflank them. I gave the order to hold fire. But they kept coming. And all that training, near the end of my second tour, and I couldn't make a decision. I mean, by this time, the men, they could see what was happening. I mean, they were starting to get anxious. They didn't want to kill civilians, children. But if we didn't return fire soon, we risked being overrun.
Jesus.
The platoon sergeant was screaming at me. Captain, give the order to fire. Do it!
And?
I waited. I was hoping that they'd drop the women and kids and just come at us. But they didn't. The platoon sergeant said if I didn't give the order, he would. He was right. I ordered my men to fire.
What happened?
Well, I could see that the men were trying to be careful at first. And they were firing single rounds instead of bursts. But they just kept coming at us. Finally, they opened up. We drove them back. Thank God none of my men were killed. After it was over, 12 children were dead. 9 women. A few of the men knelt next to the civilians and wept openly, bitterly. The medics tried to help the wounded. It was no good. 4 more children died.
It wasn't your fault.
All that training. When I was in officer training, they drove the notion of honor in our heads. They wouldn't stop talking about it. Performing one's duty with dignity, for love of country, the army, the unit. Where's the honor in killing women and children, no matter what the situation?
The Taliban bear complete responsibility for those deaths. They orchestrated the attack. They knew what was going to happen.
Don't you think that's the first explanation? Rationalization I considered?
You did what you had to do to protect your men, yourself.
And that makes it right?
It makes things comprehensible.
War is hell. Bad things happen to good people. That's what you're trying to tell me.
I don't know.
She was in her early 20s. She's dragging a terrified little girl by the hand. Probably her daughter. 5 or 6. Cassie's age. One of the rounds struck the girl in the chest, killed her instantly. The woman was screaming. With all the gunfire, I couldn't hear, but she was screaming. And then she looked at her daughter for a moment. And then at me. Straight at me.
But not at you specifically, not at all that chaos.
At me! She's looking at me! And she was talking. Talking to me. Her voice was so clear in my head. It was as if there was no battle, no gunfire, nothing. Why are you killing us? Why did you kill my baby? A second later, she was dead.
Roger, listen to me.
And I killed her. I killed her child.
You didn't. You couldn't possibly have...
I walked over to the bodies. I thought, the least we could do is bury them. I saw the woman. She had fallen on top of her child as if to protect her, even in death. All I could see the girl was one arm sticking out, and she's holding something. Before I knew what I was doing, I bent over to get a closer look just as the first mortar shells started to explode. It was a doll. Before I knew what I was doing, I was prying it out of her dead little hand. I have no idea why. I still don't.
Roger,
I ran to take cover. A few minutes later, the shelling had stopped. And we moved out. God. We killed those people. We didn't even bury them.
it wasn't your fault.
I gave the order to fire. Nobody else. Me.
You had no choice.
Of course I had a choice. There's always a choice. I could have waited to give the order. I could have, I don't know what. I've been carrying this around for a month. Every time I look at it, the whole scene plays out in my head again.
Roger, you have to stop torturing yourself.
A few days after the killing, I decided to bury it. I thought if we couldn't bury the people we murdered, at least I could do is bury the doll. I took out a clean t-shirt, I wrapped the doll with it, I put it in an ammunition box. How insane is that? An ammunition box. I buried the box next to a tree. I said a prayer. I asked God to forgive me, have mercy on me and my men. Me praying. I haven't been to church in 20 years. And I'm praying over a doll buried in an ammo can on the other side of the world.
I'm so sorry.
Don't feel sorry for me. For them, yes. For me, no.
Roger, I was...
That night, I had a dream. I dreamt that after the killings, I walked over to the bodies. Just saw the arm and the hand of the little girl. I pulled the woman off. The little girl was Cassie.
Oh my God.
And I keep thinking, an eye for an eye. A little girl for a little girl. Maybe that's God's will.
Don't talk like that, Roger, ever, please.
The next day I dug up the ammo can. I took the doll out. I thought that might stop the nightmares.
Did it?
No. Every time I fall asleep, it's been almost 5 weeks now. It's like a tape playing over and over in my head. I can't stop it. I can't run away from it.
You have to get help, some counseling.
Counseling? What, find a shrink to tell me it's okay to kill women and children?
That's not what I meant.
Then what? That I did a terrible thing that couldn't be avoided?
We can't know everything. Maybe it was God's will.
God's will. Who is this child-killing God? Would that be Jesus? Allah? Krishna? Maybe God wanted me to keep my mouth shut and not give the order to fire.
You and your men would be dead.
And those women and children would be alive. Why are American lives of more value than theirs? The ones that we're supposed to be protecting. Look at this doll. It's splattered with blood. The blood of a little girl.
I'll clean it.
No!
Maybe we should go home now.
Can't go home. Can't see the kids. Especially Cassie. Not now.
I'll Tell her you had to stay at the base for a few days. You can get a hotel room. I'll take some time off work.
I killed sons and daughters. I don't deserve to see my daughter. Not now. Maybe never.
What should we do, Roger?
I'm tired, Martha. I'm so tired.